So what is the difference between a more flexible approach, like if it fits your macros style of eating, versus, following a specific meal plan? Are there certain food choices that are better for you when it comes, to prep? That is the question. And yeah, at the end of the day, you want to create the most sustainability in your journey as possible. But naturally, as you get closer and closer to stage, as you want to take your body to that very unnatural state of getting leaner and leaner and leaner, and really, but set yourself apart from just the normal in shape, obviously, well-built girl to becoming a bikini champion. There are certain proteins, carbs, fat, veggies, obviously, foods essentially that are going to be more ideal than others. When it comes to general fat loss, obviously more lifestyle, dieting, and the first few months and phases of, your prep improvement phase, or, the entry part of your cutting phase, variety is key, sustainability is key, and that's kind of something that we focus on. So yes, like let's say for example, we create meal plans. We will always give you a broad variety of proteins, carbs, fats, veggies, fruits, obviously a fun food allowance, to pick and choose your favorite for the day, for the meal, and then consume that. That gives you a menu of variety for you to choose from, and then you have, obviously, you never have that restriction feeling when obviously dieting. There comes a certain part of your prep, let's say for example the last 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 12 weeks, depending on your condition and how much you've progressed and adhered to your plan, where we need to start cleaning up, where we obviously start dropping off things like maybe red meat or fattier fishes, when we obviously start focusing more on, obviously complex carbs rather than, obviously simple carbs, when we obviously, start eliminating, certain foods and, veggies, fat, carbs, proteins, whatever, and, focus on a select few. And also it depends. Some people's bodies respond better, on a certain protein, on a certain carb, on a certain fat, on a certain, obviously option of veggies, as opposed to others. So this is where the coaching journey comes in. This is where the expertise, obviously from an experienced coach comes in, to be able to assess your physique and make the right calls for you. But very often girls think that they have to go more restrictive than they actually need to in order to progress, I would say 80% of their journey. Up until, obviously you being, I would say, the last 5 kgs off of, your predicted stage weight, let's say for example that last 12 weeks before stage, you can pretty much, obviously follow whatever, how can I say, meal plan variety as you choose, as long as you adhere to, obviously your proteins, your fats, your carbs, your macros that are prescribed, and as long as you adhere to a 80% whole food, obviously 80 to 85% whole foods, a 20 to 15% fun food principle, okay, and you stay within those parameters and you create a sufficient calorie deficit on a daily and a weekly basis, you will lose weight. There's no difference between a woman just, that is overweight trying to lose 10 kgs to feel better in her own skin than an athlete that is 10 kgs, away from stage conditioning. The process, for most part, should look pretty similar. If you are creating a 500 calorie deficit on a daily basis, you're wanting to, lose 2 to 3 kgs on a monthly basis, which isn't a massive, obviously restrictive, ask and goal. It's doable. The same principle applies. Yes, at the end, maybe right at the end, you need to refine, but for most part, you can stay, very flexible if you adhere to the plan. The thing is, when people go too flexible, they don't have control, they don't, track accurately, they do overeat, they do how can I say, don't move sufficiently, and they don't create the sufficient calorie deficit in order to move in the right direction. And then they find themselves in a position where they are behind schedule, and then they have to, restrict and go hard and create a deeper calorie deficit to order to give themselves, the opportunity, or at least a shot, to be ready for stage. So what is the difference? There is most certainly a difference, and obviously with us, for the majority of the part, we want to teach you about nutrition. If you watch any of our nutritional, seminars, or obviously Q&As, if you go through your nutritional guide that we provide that teaches you the ins and outs of nutrition, you will understand that when we create meal plans for that first 80% of your journey up until, let's say, for example, the last 12 or 8 weeks till stage, you pretty much have the option, to be as flexible as you need to be. You've got food freedom. You've got the opportunity, to play around with your proteins. You have a guideline, which is a structured meal plan. But outside of that, if you understand nutrition and you know how to track and you understand values of, different foods and macros and stuff like that, you can very easily interchange, swap proteins for proteins, carbs for carbs, fats for fats, obviously focus just on your overall calories, protein intake, first and foremost, follow our 80-20% principle when dieting, and you will succeed. You will get to phenomenal shape. Then when we want to take you to next level, then we're obviously going to be like, all right, what are the best proteins realistically for you? It's going to be egg white, it's going to be tuna, it's going to be hake, it's going to be, lean chicken mince, lean, obviously extra lean ostrich mince, or whatever the case may be. Those whey protein, those are going to be your main protein options at the end of the day. When it comes to carbohydrate, it is going to be things like couscous. It's going to be things like, white basmati rice or brown rice, or, obviously sweet potato or white potato or oats or cream of rice, or, your fibrous veggies. What I'm saying? Your fats are going to be things like your coconut oil, your MCT oils, or your avo, or your nut butters, or your nuts, or, a selection of cheeses, or, obviously certain fats. Your veggies are going to be whatever clean, veggie you can have steamed, whether it's green veggie, mixed veg, stir fry, whether it's pumpkin, whatever the case may be. Those are going to be your options. Your fruits, obviously that you prefer to obviously incorporate, it's going to be your options. Your fun food is still there for you to choose and select whatever food you want to eat for that small, obviously 20% portion of your daily and weekly calorie intake. Closer to stage, of course, we will, encourage you to be smarter with your fun food, allowance. Choose foods that you have full control of the calories, homemade burgers, clean sushi options, maybe a steak and chips at the restaurant, something that you have, complete control out of, of what you consume, rather than just, these extravagant meals and restaurant, orders that you don't really know how to track the calories. But yeah, essentially that is the difference between a more flexible approach that you most certainly can follow for those first few months, 80% of your journey, and then a more structured approach when it becomes important actually to select the right foods. And then, slowly but surely, as you get closer, obviously bring that variety down to 2, maybe 3 or 4 protein options, 3 or 4 carb options, 3 or 4 fat options, obviously a few fruits options, and, obviously make your fun food allowance a cleaner fun food, or eliminating it completely if need be. That's the way that we generally go after, nutrition, and think it, is the best way to do it, to create sustainability and also, be able to refine towards the end. All right. Let me know if that answers your question. God bless.